reaction to my opening statement. Just landed, I believe, from traveling with President Trump to the border today and yesterday in a Justice exclusive. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, who joins me now. All right, Congressman, what I'm talking about in this open is, okay, we messed up. They're in the country. They're being bussed in even further into the interior. But at some point, it has to stop. Mexico, apparently, for the last couple of days, has helped us out when the president threatened that he was going to close the ports. So what are you seeing there? And is anything going to change?
Yes. Well, first, Judge, it's great to have you back on, and thank you for having me to join you.
Thank you.
It is true. I just landed with the president about 30 minutes ago. What we saw at the border, we went down to the southern end of California, and part of this is some good news. We had some of the new wall that was built, and listening to the border agents, we saw illegal crossings along this section to drop drastically, more than 70%. But when you talked about in your opening dialogue, last month, 100,000 illegals apprehended. Think of those that were not apprehended,
right,
that were caught. We're on a pace to have more than 1 million. And what do the Democrats and Speaker Pelosi do? She's suing the president to get him to stop trying to secure our border. Now, the president had some real success. He has woken up Mexico. Mexico, for the last week, has beginning to stop these caravans on the southern end of their border from those triangle countries that have been sending people up from El Salvador, right, and others. And a lot of what's happening here is, you're correct. We need to solve this problem, and it takes legislation. But so many are claiming asylum, even though they pass other countries first. We need to have a secure border, which the president is fighting for. But one thing we learned in this tour, we had sheriffs there from other cities. The crisis on the border doesn't stay on the border. It goes to our inner cities as well. We had the sheriff of Fresno talking about a murder that took place in others. This is a severe crisis. It's not just Republicans saying this. President Obama's Secretary of the Homeland said it is a crisis, Jeb Johnson. Right. And so we have a real problem here. The only people who do not think it's a problem are the Democrats who's in charge of Congress.
Well, you know, the amazing part of it is that I don't see Democrats going to witness this sham crisis, or whatever Nancy Pelosi calls it. How could they actually stand up there and accuse the president of undermining democracy by trying to protect us, and they're not at the border? Do you think the American people get this, or are they numb to what they've been hearing over and over again? And how do we end it?
I hope they do exactly what our president has done. He has sat down and listened to the border agents. We sat down through a long discussion, and a number of sheriffs that have been along the border. And it's exactly what you just brought up. They talked about the only people coming to the border are Republicans. They have not seen Democrats down there. If people would simply put politics aside and put their country first, we are a land of a rule of law. But what we're seeing happening down here, new records are being broken. We need to do something to change the course. The president is doing so much. Building that new wall and that barrier has made a fundamental difference. Those are not my words. Those are the Border Patrol agents who work that area. And they have seen from the crime dropping, from the illegals coming across, but we've had more than 100,000 who were apprehended. And for Nancy Pelosi to try to claim there's not a crisis, I've been in the Situation Room with the president, and we have a Homeland Security stand up and try to talk about what's going on. And Speaker Pelosi said, I don't believe you. I don't want to hear from you. That is what is wrong.
Well, that's a sham as far as I'm concerned. But let me ask you this. You know, we see the pictures. People sitting in their living rooms tonight, you know, can see the pictures, but you're right at the border. Tell me how different it feels when being there and seeing it. What is the humanitarian issue? What is the feeling like there? And who are you seeing? You seeing men? Are you seeing families? I mean, I know the numbers seem to change all the time. Who is it? Who's coming in?
You know, the sad part about what the border agents have told us is that you're seeing families, but they're not real families. They're taking these unaccompanied children, putting them with other people, and lying to the agencies to try to come across. Because of some court decisions that we had, the Flores decision and others, it kind of ties the hands of what government can do. That's why Congress has got to act. The president is correct. But the president has done something that others have not in the past. He got Mexico to act. So Mexico is beginning to stop these caravans with very large numbers just in the last 4 or 5 days on the southern end of Mexico, which will help. But we already have a major crisis going forward. And you see it being overloaded, and now you're asking the Border Patrol agents to do something different. They're now not on the border because of the need. They're inside providing, whether it be in a hospital, be providing food and others. So now we have our border opening up. That's why building this wall is so important.
All right,
and the new portion that has been built.
I don't have much time. I want to ask you this. All right, when we talk about now this new president, Obrador, in Mexico, he's very much a leftist socialist. We supposedly had a deal a year ago. The president gets tough and says, your cars ain't coming in, and that's the way it's going to happen. What leverage do we have over this guy to keep him on track? Because Mexico's going to start being overloaded themselves.
They will. Our greatest leverage is having President Trump, but what really we should do is pass and solve this problem in Congress. We are a week away from having 100 days of this new Democrat majority, and I ask your viewers and I ask anybody in Congress, what have they done? What have these Democrats accomplished? You know what they've done? 20% of their bills outside of suspensions are just resolutions. Don't even go to the Senate. It's not law. They are wasting their majority while America has a crisis. Thankful President Trump is taking action. All
right, and it's good to have you with us, Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. Thank you so much. I know it's been a long few days. Thank you.
The crisis is a direct result of the obstruction by Democrats in Congress, and we have to do something about it. It's a colossal surge, and it's overwhelming our immigration system, and I'm totally willing to close the border.
Tonight, the President of the United States calling attention to an immigration crisis, the likes of which the Homeland Security Secretary equates to a Cat 5 hurricane. That's how significant it is considered. Border Patrol apprehending more than 100,000 illegal migrants at our southern border just last month alone. Think about that. It's staggering. Okay, so let's just employ a little bit of common sense, just for a minute here. Considering these staggering numbers, Lord knows we could use a little common sense right now. More than 100,000 foreigners are illegally crossing our border within one 30-day stretch, and then they're disappearing into our country. None of this is good. It is not good, but you want to know what else is not good? This idea, perpetuated by the media and by the Democratic Party, that somehow we're in an all-or-nothing environment when it comes to immigration. You know, it shouldn't be that hard. Really shouldn't. I mean, step one, secure our border. Add a wall, add surveillance, add more border patrol. And step two, attack the laws in the books and reform them so that America makes it easy for foreigners who are good people, who are hardworking people that want to be American and aren't looking for handouts from American taxpayers to come here. We need them. We need immigrants. We want them. No one is disputing that. But if you listen to the Democrats, some of whom are disgustingly comparing the president's desire to secure our borders as akin to the Third Reich in Nazi Germany, yeah, nuts, right? We're going to tackle that later in the program. To listen to these Democrats, you'd think conservatives absolutely hated immigrants, which is a pathetic oversimplification and an unjust characterization, if you would, of this entire issue. Yes, there are bad people trying to infiltrate our country. The Dems need to recognize that, and they need to deal with that. And yes, there are wonderful people that want to be in our country for the right reasons, and we want them. To suggest that the administration's policies are anti-immigrant is nothing but political posturing. The president offering to make DACA people citizens. The Dems turned their back on that. Think about it. They turned their back. They walked away from that. Why? Because it doesn't serve them politically. I mean, why would they allow the Republicans to be credited with extending citizenship to millions? They have no intention of allowing that. No intention, because they want to hoard and save that entire group of voters to themselves. They want that group of voters to be dependent on Democratic politicians for citizenship and for basic necessities. Let them in and keep them on a dependent, short leash. Yes, that's the economic and political agenda of so many Democrats right now. Sad, right? But here's the reality, and this is the future. I predict that if the Trump administration stays focused, this administration may be the first one to address immigration in a meaningful and positive way, a way that will matter for years to come. This president, Donald Trump, and the Republican Party might actually just be the first to lock down our borders while opening up America to the best, to the brightest, to the hardest working citizens from all over the world. It's high time we accomplish all of that, and we can.